All right, so here's my brief screencast for explaining how this flowchart works for finding unknown sides of special right triangles. Let's go with the very top flow. If you have a 45, 45, 90 triangle, the two legs are going to be the same. So if you know one of them, let's say one of them happens to be 3, then you know that the other leg will also be 3. And to go from the leg to the hypotenuse, simply multiply that by square root of 2. So you would get 3 square root of 2. All right. Well, what if you had square root already in the legs, like 3 square root 5 and 3 square root 5? Well, that means we just need to multiply 3 square root 5 by square root of 2. So root 5 times root 2, which gives you 3 root 10. So it really doesn't matter what those legs are, just multiply by another root 2, that'll give you your hypotenuse. Okay? Now if you're working backwards and you know what the hypotenuse is and you're trying to find out what the legs have to be, so the quickest way to do that is to basically take out the square root of 2. So let's say I have a hypotenuse that's square root of 5 square root of 2, then we know that the legs will both be 5 and 5, right? It's just without that root 2. So what if I have 5 square root of, I don't know, let's say 5 square root of 10? Well, we would divide by square root of 2. So root 10 divided by root 2 is root 5. All right, so that's the most straightforward way to go back. It's to divide by root 2. And that's great if we have a square root of 2 to divide. But that's not always the case, right? So sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So we have to figure out something else that we can do. And that's where this red description comes from. You can divide that hypotenuse by 2 and then multiply by square root 2. So what I mean by that is if the hypotenuse is, say, 12, then to go from the hypotenuse to the leg, I would take half of that 12, which is 6, and then multiply by square root of 2. Okay? All right, so what if now there's not just a number? What if it's root 2, 12 times square root of 3 is your hypotenuse? Well, if that's the case, then to find the leg, we would simply take half of that whole number, half of the 12, so that's 6, and then multiply by square root of 2. So square root of 3 times the square root of 2 gives you the square root of 6. Okay, so that's it for 45, 45, 90. I think this is not quite as hard as the 30, 60, 90, but I'm going to stop the video here and do 30, 60, 90 as a separate video.